This is a 2007 Ford Focus, and I'm about to do an oil change on it and thought I'd go ahead and videotape it, as it's arguably one of the most important things you could ever do to any car is to be sure to change the oil on a regular basis. So I'm going to go ahead and videotape the steps to take with changing the oil and also some tips and tricks I've picked up along the way to help. So before we get started, let's take a look at what it's going to take to do an oil change. So first things first, safety is always important, and we want to be sure to have gloves to protect our hands. In this case, used motor oil is known to have different contaminants in it, things that would be irritating to your skin. So it's very important to be sure that your hands are well protected. And then obviously also having a funnel is always helpful for pouring the oil into the oil fill hole. And we have a large oil fill pan here. This will be used to catch the oil as it's draining out. You can have them like this, where they have a top lid where you also have a spot to put your oil filter, or obviously a more open one. Also, what's important to have is an oil filter wrench. This is an old traditional wrench that's used to help work the oil filter off. Another product that's on the market is an oil filter cap, which is something that connects into your socket wrench, and it also is a great way to get the oil filter off, as those are snug when trying to get them off initially. And then also we'll need a 13 millimeter socket. This will be used for the oil plug, which holds all the oil in. Then let's jump over to the filter. The stock filter that comes with the Ford Focus is a Motorcraft FL-910S. FL-910S. Obviously there's a lot of different filters out there of different brands, but this is the OEM, so there's a lot of great references. I'll include some links in the video description on great places where you can look up other filters to make sure that yours is the right fit. And then also you want to use 5W20 oil. In this case I am using synthetic, and there's always the ongoing argument about what's better, synthetic or regular. But really what's most important for your vehicle is making sure that it meets the vehicle specifications. So in this case, 5W20 is the recommended oil for our Focus. And if you flip it around the back, this is what gives you the hideaway. Let me see if I can get this to focus in. Now you'll see here API Service SN 5W20. This means that it meets API certification, which is a third-party organization that checks off on all oils. And if you also read along up here, let's see, you'll see exceeds the requirement of GF5. These are different specifications, but notice the Ford specification. This is key for us. This is our specification for oil. So really, when you're choosing your oil, it's most important to make sure that it meets the Ford specifications and is API certified. That means that it's going to be a quality oil and it's going to hold up for the entire oil change interval. And also jumping to the manual real quick, just to show where things are in the manual. Let's see, this is page 192, Maintenance and Specifications. It has different stuff on adding engine oil, so it's a great go-to spot. And if you flip also to the back, this is a big table of the different fluid specifications types that are needed for Ford Focus. Let's see, this is page 217 in this manual. And notice here, so we have engine oil for a 2-liter engine, which is what we have. Again, they recommend 5W20. Motorcraft is the stock oil, but again, anything that is 520 and also meets the WSS 30A specification, and that actually has updated since then. Again, jumping back to this oil, here, let me get it back in focus. See, we have the Ford 30A and then Ford 45A. 45A is the updated specification. So as long as it's meeting those, that's what's most important. And then also, we'll see 4.5 quarts of engine oil needed. Now, obviously, this is a 5-quart bottle of oil. So one thing that you can do is either add the whole jug of oil, which is what I do, and I haven't experienced any difficulty with that, or you can add the 4.5 quarts of oil and then keep the rest in a smaller bottle, or even in this bottle, as something to keep in the trunk for emergency situations when you might need some top-off oil. All right, so now we're underneath the engine here, and so looking underneath the car, you'll see the engine. This is the bottom of the engine here, the engine oil pan. And also you'll see the oil filter towards the front. And here, let me move our catch pan out of the way. Towards the back of the engine, right back. Now let me see if I can get a good angle on it. Let's see. Try to get it brighten up a little bit here. Right here towards the back. This is our engine. This is our screw holding all the oil in. So that's what we're going to ultimately unscrew to get all the oil out of this engine. And so that sits just right towards the back. And that is our whole overview. First important with an engine oil change is to first be sure that the engine is up to operating temperature. This is a recommendation of Ford to make sure that all parts are lubricated and that draining out the oil won't interrupt any of that lubrication. So just run the engine for a little bit to get it up to temperature. And then what I'm actually going to do is, a lot of folks will first drain the oil and then do the oil filter. I'm actually going to do that in reverse. The reason being, the oil filter holds a lot of oil inside of it, as it's supposed to. And if we take it out first, that'll give it more time to drain, which means that it'll be for an easier cleanup afterwards. So we have our oil filter wrench here, and I'm going to go ahead and ease it onto the oil filter here. And it's a twisting work, so what you do is you tighten it up. Oh, yeah, let me get a good angle on it. What you do is tighten it up so it fits snug with the oil filter, and just give it a simple turn. I actually just use the oil filter wrench to first get it loosened up, and then let me move our oil pan underneath, and I'll just work it out by hand. Now this is where it's important to have gloves on, because we will have some oil start to come out here. So let it just kind of drip out for now. Let it work off, and then once this oil has drained out, I'll go ahead and undo it the rest of the way and get the rest of it out there. Okay, we're pretty well drained out there. Almost there. Oh, there we go. And then I'll just go ahead and flip it down into the oil drain pan and just let it all drain out there. And actually this has a lip, so I'll move it up to there. But yep, a little bit messy, but just let it all sit there and continue to drain out. And while we have that off, it's important to always check and make sure that the gasket came off with the oil filter. That's just a rubber seal that sits around this circular area here, giving it a nice snug fit. It's important that that comes off so that the new oil filter can sit properly there. So you can either take a paper towel and wipe that down and just make sure that that's all cleared off. So now that we have the old oil filter off, we have the new oil filter here. And what we need to do first to prep it before we put it on is to take some of the old engine oil, so I got some of it on my finger there, and run it around this gasket. Again, this is the part of the oil filter we were checking to make sure it wasn't stuck on from the previous oil filter. And the reason why we put this old oil on here is to help lubricate the gasket and make sure it gets a proper seal, and so that no oil is able to leak out. So there you go. And with our new oil filter, we're going to go ahead and line it up with the threads, and then just manually turn and get it on there. You don't want to do this with the wrench, as that can sometimes cause over torquing, which isn't good for the oil filter. It can cause some damaging of the seal. So what you want to do is you want to hand turn it until it sits snug, and then you want to turn it either 3/4 of a turn or 3/4 of a turn to one additional turn to make sure it's snug. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it here, and then there you go, just like that. All right, so now we're at the back end of the engine, ready to get this oil drain plug off so we can let the oil drain out. Again, we're using a 13mm socket wrench, and so all you have to do is line up the screw and then give it a turn. Now, once you have the oil drain plug start to loosen up pretty good, what I actually do, and this is a tip I've picked up along the way, I'll take off the socket wrench, and let me see if I can get a good shot of this. Now I'm going to take it out by hand, but I'm going to take my index finger and press against the oil drain plug. That means I can get it out as far as possible, but then still have the oil drain plug in there. So I'm going to take this out. Get to keep coming out. Again, pressing my index finger against it. And once I have it out all the way, I'll just do one swift motion to take the oil drain plug out of the way, and that way it helps reduce the mess of oil running everywhere and helps you rescue out the oil drain plug as well. So, have that coming out. It's feeling pretty loose. So let's see if I can do this one swift take for the camera. There we go. And so we have it running right in. We have it running right into the oil drain pan, and I have the plug in hand, which helps so that you don't have to go digging into the oil to find it. Now, once you have all the oil drained out, you can go ahead and take your oil drain plug and simply go ahead and line it up back in, and go ahead and I'll oftentimes just put it back in by hand as far as I can go, and then use the socket wrench to finish it off. Now, once we have our oil filter back on snug, as well as our oil drain plug, we'll go ahead and take a funnel and get ready to pour the new oil in. So looking at our engine right here, upper left hand corner is our oil cap. It's easy to discern because it says the 5W20 on it. So go ahead and turn then twist that off, just set it aside, and then take our funnel, drop it in, and then get ready to pour the oil. And then once you have the funnel in, you can go ahead and start pouring your oil in. Again, make sure that your oil drain plug is in completely snug, and then go ahead and just pour the oil. So with the oil in the engine, now the next thing to do is just make sure that the engine is able to run properly. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn the engine. And you'll notice that there was a check oil light on, but it just went off. And so engine's sounding fine. We'll jump underneath as well, just to make sure no oil is draining out anywhere. So yep, it's all looking pretty good. So with the oil drained out, now all that we're left to do is just with cleanup. And so one thing that I also have learned, if you don't have an oil pan that has a lip that you can use for draining out the oil filter, what you can do is simply take a waste oil jug. In this case, I'm just using the jug I just used for the oil. Put a funnel in it, and you can take the filter and simply balance it in the top. And then that'll help allow for all the oil to drain out of the filter to help make it less messy. Just a trick that I picked up along the way. But really outside of that, you have your filter. What you can do, what I do a lot of times, is I'll take the old filter, put it in the new filter's box. Again, just keep it nice and neat. Put the old oil in the new oil's bottle, and that gets it all ready for recycling, which you can do at many big chain stores or auto stores. A lot of them will do it for free, so it's really no hassle to you. But really outside of that, that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to comment in the comments section, and I'll do my best to try to answer it. And otherwise, thank you for watching.